If you're constantly on the search for new technical drills, I'm sure you have come across the use of smaller sized footballs at least once before. Now, over the last decades, the use of smaller balls as a training tool has become increasingly popular, with most coaches and players claiming that this is how you can fast forward the development process and achieve a better technical skill level. Is this really a thing though? Let's find out. So first things first, for all of you that don't know, ball sizes range from size 3 to size 5. Of course, some players and coaches also like using smaller balls in their training, like tennis balls. Now, size 3 balls, otherwise referred to as mini balls or souvenir balls, are the smallest footballs available, and they are most commonly used at the under 9 level and below. Size 4 balls are the medium-sized balls that are still used at the grassroots level, whereas size 5 balls are the normal balls used in men's football. So, is there any point in using smaller balls in your technical training? The short answer is yes, there is. But if you're serious about your development, I would highly suggest you stick until the end, because we got some valuable info to share that you don't want to miss. So the main theory behind using this training tool is that a smaller sized ball will drastically increase the difficulty of any technical training drill, requiring you to pay close attention to detail whenever you're performing a touch on the ball. Imagine that the ball has a tiny little core that's positioned right at the center of it. The better you're at controlling the core of the ball, the easier it will be for you to control an object with a greater contact surface, aka a normal ball. This doesn't only apply to the tennis ball, but any other smaller sized ball there is out there. So given that, yes, a smaller sized ball can help you get more comfortable and confident in performing actions with a regular sized ball. However, is this really an effective training tool to use all the time? Well, I'm not so sure about that. Although using smaller balls will increase the difficulty of certain drills and will force you to be more precise with each touch you take, there are definitely pros and cons to their use. So, how should you use smaller balls in your training? The first thing I would like to point out is that you shall probably use smaller sized balls to complement your training with a regular sized ball and not use it as a replacement. Yes, mini balls can help you, but they can definitely become too much of a good thing. At the end of the day, you're not competing in games with a small ball. So when it comes to your training, make sure that the vast majority of it consists of exercises with a regular ball, so that you meet the demands of your game first. Then, consider adding a smaller ball if that is something that is going to help you improve a specific area of your technical game. And lastly, I want you to be super skeptical when it comes to incorporating a tennis ball into your training. The ROI is 90% of the time really low. Just remember that if it makes you look like a clown, you probably are one. No offense. The next thing I would like to touch upon has to do with the size of each ball and their use. On one hand, you have footballs that are either size 3 or size 4. Those balls are close to the regular sized balls most of you are playing with on game days. Since their surface is big enough to come in full contact with your foot, these balls can be used in a variety of technical training drills. So feel free to incorporate them when working on your passing, your dribbling, your ball control, and your first touch, but do it deliberately and with attention to detail. On the other hand, we have even smaller balls like tennis balls. Their surface is by far smaller than size 3 and size 4 balls, offering way less grip and making them less practical and effective when it comes to training the technical aspect of your game. Some may argue that this further challenges the players due to the smaller size used, but I think that the significant difference in size can force you to use less efficient and sometimes even false motor patterns. And as you know from our previous videos, consistent use of false movement can inhibit your already efficient movement and cause a decline in your technique. So please, stop being a clown by using a tennis ball in each technical drill you do just because you saw it on TikTok or Instagram. In fact, I would only suggest using a tennis ball to add some fun and challenge in your juggling circuits. Nothing more, nothing less. Other than that, they might be extremely useful to goalkeepers that are trying to improve their hand-eye coordination or develop comfort in handling the ball. Now that we've got the how out of the way, it's time to talk about when you can incorporate a mini ball into your training. So as a rule of thumb, and given that I'm not a huge believer in spending entire training sessions with a mini ball, I would say that using a smaller sized football would be more ideal or at least practical during the prep phase of a session or the late phases of a warm-up. This includes any technical drills you're doing at the start of a session to prime your movement patterns and find that rhythm and coordination. This added stimulus will force you to pay more attention to every touch you take, and this is definitely something you want to carry over for the rest of the session. On the contrary, I'm not a big fan of using smaller balls to do skill work. And no, I'm not talking about simple technical work. The difference between technique and skill is big. On one hand, technique is just a combination of movements, and on the other hand, skill is technique combined with the pressure of time, space, and or opponents. However, let's not dig deeper into that for the moment. If you'd like a video on this topic though, just let me know in the comments. The only thing I want you to keep from this is that smaller sized footballs aren't practical and efficient to use in drills that focus on more than technical development. This includes position-specific drills, small-sided games, games with touch or space limitations, or even technical drills that involve complex problem solving. Size 3 and size 4 balls might be great for technical development, but when skill comes into play, just stick with the ball that you're usually competing with. Now, if this video helped you become less of a clown, I am 100% sure you'll want to watch this video next and become a smarter player.